So as of today, there are most likely some very upset individuals and executives in the NCAA. There was a Supreme Court decision that came through that changes the game. Welcome to Escaping the Echo Chamber. So if you don't know, today the Supreme Court ruled against the NCAA in terms of limits on what kind of compensation or the amount of compensation that student athletes can receive. Now we have to now there's a couple of things. One, the decision was completely unanimous. All of the justices agreed. They ruled against the NCAA, and it's definitely a win for the student athletes. Additionally, Neil Gorsuch wrote the opinion. However, Kavanaugh wrote a concurring opinion. So for himself, he wrote an opinion that he wanted to highlight some certain issues. What's interesting and what needs to be clarified is this isn't talking about them student athletes getting paid, period. This is about limits on education related compensation they can receive, because as it currently stands, well, as it used to formerly stood, they actually had caps on the amount of education related benefits that colleges could offer to Division I players. And it's interesting that in his decision, in his opinion, Kavanaugh addresses even though it's not controlling at this point. It's because I guess it would be considered dicta right now in terms of it could be used for persuasive purposes, but it's not controlling. It doesn't the existence of what he wrote. So Kavanaugh's opinion can be used and referenced in other litigation other litigation, but it's not. It doesn't have the force of law because it was just a concurring opinion, and it was just him on the opinion. So let me start again. And 3, 2, 1. As of now, students can be offered tens of thousands of dollars in education-related benefits, including graduate scholarships, study abroad programs. But it's not, like I said, it's not yet touching the point on whether or not they can receive salaries. So now the argument, and they ruled against the NCAA on an antitrust, from an antitrust angle. And the interesting thing is that will most likely be the grounds on which the NCAA gets ruled against in terms of paying student athletes salaries, because the NCAA is making tens of millions of dollars, a lot of money, and these students are only getting an education. So, despite the amount of money that they're generating for these schools, the point about it is that with the decision and the grounds that it's based on, it seems imminent that the prohibition on salaries is going to be falling soon, because Kavanaugh even addressed it in his concurring opinion. Because one of the things they're saying, so the NCAA is saying that the reason it doesn't pay its student athletes is so that it can maintain the definition of not paying its student athletes. And he's like, yeah, so they're trying to use that. They're basically trying to use their violation of antitrust laws as the grounds for saying that they're not subject to antitrust laws. Yeah, which is interesting, and so yeah, it looks like it's only a matter of time before the NCAA has to. Well, even this doesn't say they have to. But it's saying that the limits are moved. They can't collude with one another and say, oh, they're because basically then it's they formed a cartel to stop to conspire against potential student athletes, and now the athletes can begin making um, so athletes can put pressure on them. Hey, if you want me at your school, you're going to have to sweeten the pot, and ultimately, it's going to come down to um, not just sweetening the pot with educational benefits, but it's going to be, okay, how much are you paying me? Like that day is soon coming where student athletes are getting paid. So I'm going to be reading the decision, and I'll probably mention some more aspects of it after I read through the whole decision, because it just dropped today and I haven't had a chance to read it thoroughly yet. But thank you for checking out the channel. And as always, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.